5 times as high as compared to. And of course, these are significant at 0.01 level, very highly significant effect. So, I mean, the idea that you need both science-based and experience-based learning is, of course, not new. Lots of every business people would agree on that, and most innovation scholars would agree on that. But the problem is, it makes a difference to have some very clear analytical data which supports this thing. And it means that there's a need to combine science-based with experience-based learning. They are much more innovative than firms which are biased towards one of these modes. And this implies broad definition of innovation systems, broad definition of innovation policy, and broad definition also at the private business sector of knowledge management. Again, I think my colleague mentioned before that knowledge management is not about databases and information technology only. It has a lot to do with managing people and setting up the right kind of organization, developing the right kind of skills among the workers. I would say there are 2 kinds of bias in innovation and industrial policy. One is that a lot of innovation policy is about promoting the science base of high-tech firms, assuming that the DOI side takes care of itself. I mean, in all your countries, you have had programs on microelectronics, biotechnology, and when you think about innovation, it's very often about promoting the science base of these activities. On the other hand, we have in industrial policy often some ideas of making life more easy for small and medium-sized enterprises. They should be deregulated and they should have a nice time and so on. But often you neglect the importance of linking them to codified knowledge, to the STI mode. We can show in a lot of our recent empirical work that firms who hire their first academic person, it makes a major difference for especially in sectors which are not high-tech sectors, especially in firms which have very little experience in innovation. It makes a major difference in terms of their innovative capability. And the same if we link traditional small and medium-sized enterprises to knowledge institutions, not necessarily universities, but perhaps rather technological institutes and so on, we see a major impact. So one challenge is to upgrade the STI mode in traditional industries and in SMEs. We see that when you hire the first natural science engineering person, you get a positive impact on technical innovation. We see that when they hire their first social science management person, it has a significant impact on organizational change. I think it's important to orient technical institutes and consultancy firms so they support the interaction between science-based organizations and SMEs. And science-based organizations might not always be universities. It might be better to have more technology institutes which are closer to the mode of operation of private business. So lessons to be learned for policymakers: combine investment in knowledge with strengthening the demand for knowledge. If you make sure that small traditional firms hire academics, you strengthen the demand for knowledge. And that's very important. Somebody said about, I think the Czech Republic, that there was a problem that PhD who were trained did not get into the labor market. It might be an interesting policy area. Innovation policy needs support both from education and labor market policy. Environmental and energy policy require innovation dimension. So, are there lessons to be learned for innovation journalists? I don't know. Are you innovation journalists? Are there such kind of specific, you know my friend from Vinnova, are you the only real innovation journalist here, or?
I'm not a journalist.
How many of you would say you would fall in this category? One? Is he the only one? Two? Okay. So the rest you are just learning to become innovation journalists.
What is an innovation journalist?
I don't know. It's up to you to decide. It's up to you to decide. I mean, it's people who write about things having to do with innovation, probably.
Don't all reporters write about new things and innovative things? Or
Okay, that's the one. I see. But anyhow, I wonder, is there a bias here so that what is written about innovation is mainly about STI mode, linking science to technology and to innovation in high-tech areas? Is there such a bias? It might be, I don't know.
I think that there was always a communicative linkage between innovation is high-tech.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fought by innovation researchers like Peter Drucker for the last 20 years, trying to point out that this is not true. By now, I feel that journalists have some opportunities to report on innovative in social areas, like the school project from Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
That by now is, there's a reception growing looking at such examples.
Okay.
So the opportunities for journalists to report on other spaces, whether it's the web, which is making publishing much easier, is growing. So we can move away from linking innovation with high-tech all the time.
Good. And also think about innovation as linked to how people work and what kind of competencies they have. And generally education, not only education of the PhDs in natural science, but in general. I think these are very important topics, and that was all for now. Thank you. So, any questions? Or you're very hungry?
Well, being one of the innovation journalists here,
Okay, one of the two.
Accepting being, what do you call it, STI biased.
Yeah.
Thank you. Being one of the innovation journalists here and accepting being STI biased and everything, I still haven't really understand the DUI part. Let's take it from there. I mean, how could you be DUI biased?
How can you be?
DUI biased.
Oh. I think if you have a traditional firm, you can have developed quite good interaction with customers, and you can have a very flexible learning organization. And on this basis, you can develop new products without any input from science. And in that sense, I would say for these kind of firms, especially for these kind of firms, if I go back, linking the activity to, sorry, that was wrong. So, what would you do? Come on. The slide before that. Especially for these kind of firms that already have certain characteristics of being innovative and actually innovating. If you get them to link up with the science community or science-based organization, you can increase their innovative capability stepwise. And that might actually be I mean, if you look at